from the Specialty Speeches Manual. The title of the speech is The Great Commoner. We are at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois on July 9, 1896. Greg Miller is about to introduce former Nebraska Congressman William Jennings Bryan, also known as the Great Commoner, who wants and deserves the nomination to become the Democratic candidate for President of the United States. Please give a warm welcome for Greg Miller delivering the Great Commoner.
For the past 3 years, our 45 United States of America have been mired in the greatest economic catastrophe in our nation's history. You could even call it the Great Depression. Why is this? Why is our economy so bad? Gold. Gold and nothing else. That is why we are in the Great Depression. Ever since George Washington was president, we had an economic policy of bimetallism, meaning that our currency would be backed by silver and gold. Usually we had 16 ounces of silver for every ounce of gold based on the amount of gold and silver in circulation. That began to change during the war between our states as the Union introduced a new form of currency called a greenback, which was backed by neither gold nor silver. Greenbacks lost some of their value, about 1/3, in the course of our war. They remained in circulation for about a decade before they were retired. At around the same time in the mid-1870s, we were able to liberate our land out west from the savage Indians who weren't using the land properly anyhow, and we did a great deal of mining, and we discovered a vast amount of silver. More and more silver entered circulation. As a result, some of the gold bugs back east wanted to retire silver from our currency, introducing these United States to the gold standard, meaning that our money would only be backed by gold. I call these people gold bugs because they're like that Edgar Allan Poe story in which he wrote pejoratively about a golden bug that would bite people and drive them insane. These gold bugs wanted to introduce bimetallism because that's what the British have in their currency, and we borrow so much money from them. But that makes one wonder, why did we declare independence from them in 1776? There is another reason why they want the gold standard. If we only have gold, we would have less money. If we have less money, money would become more rare and it would have a greater value. Therefore, the prices of goods would get lower and lower. That is called deflation, when prices go down. That might be good for the gold bugs back east, but it is terrible for our nation's farmers, as they already have a hard time selling their crops for a fair price, and now their crops would be sold for even less. And it's even worse. If we have less money in circulation, then bankers would have less money to lend people. If they have less money to lend people, then they would have to lend that money at increasingly high interest rates. That would make things worse for farmers because they'd have a difficult time paying off their loans if interest rates are so high. And it's all the fault of gold and only gold. The working men have pressed upon their brow a crown of thorns. Humanity is being crucified on a cross of gold. What to do about this? Reintroduce bimetallism. If we reintroduce silver into our nation's currency, then there will be more money in circulation, price will go up, a little bit of inflation, farmers will sell their crops for more money, and with lower interest rates, it will be easier for them to pay off their loans. But now in this election year, you might want to ask, who should we choose for our nation's president? The Republicans just got done with their nomination convention, they have picked Governor of Ohio, William McKinley. Should he be our next nation's leader? He wants to become the 25th president of these United States of America. He's an effective governor, but he's a gold bug. And really, he isn't his own man. He is just a puppet. His strings are being pulled by Mark Hanna, who is one of the two distinguished senators from the great state of Ohio. And Mark Hanna is the chair of the Republican National Committee. But even Mark Hanna is nothing more than a puppet. His strings are being pulled by the three greatest gold bugs of them all: Andrew Carnegie, John Rockefeller, and especially James Pierpont Morgan. What about our incumbent president, Grover Cleveland? He's a Democrat like us. Shouldn't we give him another term? No. He's another gold bug. Grover Cleveland and William McKinley are like two sides of the same golden coin. Choosing between Grover Cleveland and William McKinley would be like choosing between Tweedledee and Tweedledum. How about James Weaver? He's the nominee of the Populist Party. He favors bimetallism. In fact, James Weaver has even gone so far as to campaign down south and tell the white and colored folk to join forces because their economic concerns are more important than the color of their skin. James Weaver is a good man, but he is the nominee of a third party. We will never elect a third party candidate for president. After all, the dog wags the tail. The tail doesn't wag the dog. Therefore, the only man who is capable of being president and getting us out of this Great Depression is William Jennings Bryan. William Jennings Bryan was born in Illinois in 1860. He was born to a good Protestant family, meaning that he is a Christian, a real Christian. He is nothing like those mackerel-snapping agents of the Pope who keep streaming into our fair Protestant nation from southern and eastern Europe, along with their Hebrew brethren. William Jennings Bryan's lips have never met the taste of demon rum or sacramental wine. William Jennings Bryan favors the idea of prohibition. Now, in some of your states, you have already voted to ban alcohol at either the local or even state level. William Jennings Bryan wants that to become national. In fact, he even thinks it would be best if we amend the Constitution to make that nationwide. He married a woman named Mary Elizabeth, who is a lawyer like himself. Some of you delegates from the states out west might appreciate that William Jennings Bryan and myself applaud the fact that some of your states have already granted suffrage or the right to vote for women at local, state, or even national elections. William Jennings Bryan and myself believe that that should be done nationwide, even if we have to amend the Constitution to require every state to give women the right to vote. William Jennings Bryan moved to Nebraska, where he became the second Democrat to be congressman from that state. He served two very distinguished terms before he has moved on to campaign across the country in favor of bimetallism. So, if we nominate and elect William Jennings Bryan for president, he will reintroduce bimetallism to get our country out of the Great Depression. He will give women the right to vote, which they so justly deserve, and he will favor amending the Constitution to ban rum from our country, so therefore it won't poison our God-fearing nation. Now let me introduce William Jennings Bryan, the great commoner, the man who will become the Democratic nominee for president and become our nation's 25th president. Here he is, William Jennings Bryan.